Oh, this is gonna.
Stand, say the pledge.
Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order. Motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda with flexibility.
Second.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Auditor swears in.
Yeah. Sign it in front of him. No,
Sarah?
yes.
Auditor swearing?
Well, I think you need to read it and to, or Dave reads it to you and you say you will, however, I don't remember how that was done. But, and then sign it and I can notarize it.
And I don't think you can read that because it says aye.
Oh, okay, I couldn't remember how it said, but.
The state of South Dakota, County of Bennett, I, the undersigned, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of South Dakota, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge all duties of my said office of auditor.
I think I probably did it this time.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Approved February 19th minutes.
I wasn't here.
Oh. I didn't see anything with, others.
I'll make a motion to approve February 19th meeting minutes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Public comment, 5 minutes. Go ahead.
So I appreciate the time to get my 5 minutes. I'm gonna speak again. I'm gonna reread this law to you guys out of the state, South Dakota State legislative laws. Law 72117, contracts exceeding maximum tax levy and void. Personal liability of consenting officers. That means that whoever made these contracts after you going over budget is liable for that amount. So each contract made in violation of provision 72116 is null and void in regard to any obligation thereby purported to be imposed on the county. That means the county is not liable for any bills that is turned in after the county commissioners go over budget. The county commissioners are to be held personally liable for any money spent after going over budget. So there's that law, and I'm going to get you guys a copy of that. I also found this law, 72127, personal liability of officers and employees creating or paying debts exceeding appropriated amounts. Maybe that one's more easy to understand for you. So 72127 states all officers, boards, and members of boards, employees, and all other persons authorizing contracts or incurring or attempting to authorize a contract in any indebtedness or liability on behalf of any county, therefore is in violation of provision of this chapter. Order paying, drawing, or ensuing warrants, payments of, or paying any claims or demands upon or against a county, therefore of any liability, indebtedness attempted to be created, is in violation of the provisions of this chapter and be jointly severely liable in person and on their official bonds to the county or the institution agency, therefore, which they are officers of employees, to the extent of any payments or payments made void of such claims. I now have two state laws stating that the commissioners, after going over budget, are to be held liable for going over budget, and any claims thereafter are to be paid out of the commissioners or the commissioners' bonds. Now, are any of you bonded as a county commissioner? State law states that you as a commissioner have to be bonded to cover any of these violations.
Not that
any-
I'm aware of.
Nobody's bonded?
I'm not that I know of, yeah.
By state law, as a commissioner, you have to be bonded.
I think there is, usually we got it every year. Was an insurance from the bank that bonded every commissioners, the auditor, treasurer.
So I guess, yeah, if we could get that on next meeting's agenda and get some information about it.
I appreciate. I mean, I want to know how the bond company's going to come back to pay back this money that went over. So I'm really curious about that because that's the appropriate action. Because we need to get the bonding company involved in this. So I did make some copies of this law again for you guys, so that you could all have a copy of that, so you can see. Keep it. Thank you.
Keep it.
It's all yours. Anyways, that's all I have for this time. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Anyone else? 5 minutes? Mr. Paul.
Bakley, Chairman, Vice Chairman, Commission members, good morning. I believe there is to be a law enforcement agreement between the County of Bennett and the City of Martin County, South Dakota. I'm wondering why it's not being lived up to. For example, I notice on page 1 of the law enforcement agreement, the sheriff hereby agrees to provide police services and protection in the city, including enforcement of city ordinances. And for such purposes, the county and sheriff shall furnish law enforcement officers and law enforcement equipment necessary and incident to furnishing such services during the time of this agreement. It's right on page 1. I believe people who just take and drive through stop signs, that's not ordinance, that's statute. And I wonder why that's not being addressed. And yes, I have had a conversation with the sheriff.
Was it done in front of a police officer?
No, sir, I don't know where the police officers are. I don't know which of the 7 are on duty. I'll get into that at the next meeting because it'll take more than one meeting to do this. There are ordinances that I just read that have to be enforced as part of this agreement. In fact, more specifically on page 3, sub 3, the sheriff and county shall provide 24-hour law enforcement services to the city for both state law and city ordinance enforcement. I have heard from one officer that the reason Jake Brake ordinance is not being enforced is because they can't hear it. If a law officer cannot hear a Jake Brake, I question why this county would employ such an individual. Not only is clear ordinance, and they just don't want to bother with it. There is an issue that grows around here of dogs, whether they're local dogs, whether they're roaming dogs.
I'm with that,
How do we deal with that, Mr. Chairman? Look, you and I can probably suggest a way.
Yeah.
But this is not the time and no place.
Right.
To deal with that. It's got to be dealt with.
I agree 110%.
If we can do something on that agreement, I would like to suspend for today, and I'll return at the next meeting with a couple more items. With that, I thank the commission for their time this morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else? Moving on. Application for county assistant funeral plan.
Did you find anything more out
I
there?
haven't even had a chance to look. I'm sorry. If we want to just maybe put that back on the agenda when we when I get a chance to look at it, we can do that. Or I guess you can handle it however you want.
Yeah, I think when the review is done, that's when the time we would look at it.
Just
When we have all the information to make that, yeah.
And I'll put it back on whenever she's at that time to review it. Okay.
Weed board supplement budget hearing.
do you have time on that?
Anytime.
We do a supplement hearing, we do like a 10 o'clock or.
Not fine. Have my notes out on the board, so we can grab it. And put it on there. Yeah, it's at 10 a.m.
Okay, so let's come back to that.
EID resolution.
So it'd be the first resolution that you have in your books.
Do you care to read that for us?
Did you read it? Okay. Resolution 2025-02. Opposition to mandatory electronic identification, EID livestock tags. I think we need to wait on this just a little longer. I think we need to do a little more research on this.
My understanding is this is a federal mandate that goes into effect or already is in effect. If this is just shows our opposition to it, doesn't affect anything.
Because it doesn't affect the livestock farm, because they still by law have to
Right, it's a federal mandate that they have to.
All this will do is make people will feel warm and fuzzy. As opposed, I mean, that's all it ain't. It's not gonna accomplish nothing.
There's no enforcement by the state to do this, or the county.
Okay, whereas effective November 5th, 2024, the United States Department of Agriculture Animal Plant Health Inspection Services implemented a rule mandating that all sexual intact cattle and bison over 18 months of age, all dairy cattle, and all cattle and bison used for rodeo, transportation, or recreational events crossing state boundaries must be tagged with EID tags that are both visual and electronically readable. And whereas the cost of implementing the EID tagging system disproportionately impacts small and medium-sized independent farmers and ranchers, while large corporate-owned herds may benefit from cost-saving practices such as group tagging. And whereas concerns have been raised that the mandate may be overreaching, intrusive, and potentially primitive privacy protection, posing a threat to the livelihoods of independent cattle and bison producers. And whereas independent family-owned cattle ranches play a vital role in the economic stability and culture heritage of local communities and the broader national economy. And whereas the United States has consistently maintained one of the safest and highest quality meat supply globally under the current traceability system, which stakeholders argue is already effective without mandating EID tagging. And as where South Dakota Codified Law 40-3-27 authorized the Animal Industry Board to develop a program for identifying animal premises involved in animal movement, ensuring confidently of records except for law enforcement or mandatory disease control, and allowing livestock owners to use approved identification methods, including those in 9 CFR Part 86, as adopted January 9th, 2013. And whereas Senator Mike Rounds has opposed the federal mandate requiring EID tags for livestock, emphasizing concerns about the lack of voluntary participation options and the absence of adequate funding to support its implementation. Now therefore be it resolved that the Benton County Board of Commissioners formally oppose the mandatory EID tag requirement by USDA APHHIS. Dated today, March 5th, 2025.
Do we have a motion to accept the resolution?
I'll motion to accept the resolution.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. Resolution to appoint wildland fire suppression designee.
So there's two different ones. One is for just Chris, and then the other one, because we expressed maybe having more than one person. So it says Chris and for Benton County Emergency Management.
You want to explain that, Jeff?
Pardon me?
Go ahead. Explain this. Did you do this?
What it is, this is what we discussed last week at the State Division of Wildland Fire Suppression request that we have someone who has the authority to commit to pay for resources in the event of a wildland fire. And so before it had always been the Martin Fire Chief, which has been Chris O'Brien for several years. I think last week I mentioned, I don't know if you took any action on it, but maybe putting another name on there. So one of the resolutions has my name on it, but it doesn't have to be me. It could be whoever you might choose. We just need to pop up now if we need resources, someone that you guys trust to make the call and order the resources and trust their judgment. You also could be well within your boundaries to give some guidance to whoever is that designee, a cap even for them to spend, because it could get really expensive. So, and that wouldn't be part of the resolution. If you just want to say tell whoever is that designee, hey, if you go over $20,000, you gotta call us, which even would be you guys. But anyway, so the resolution just would determine who that designee is.
And so one of them names Chris O'Brien and
Oh, Benton County Emergency
Yeah.
Management. Okay.
and then the other one just Chris O'Brien.
And also, so if you look at the end of the resolution, it does say that if, it goes beyond the, provided no cost, then they have to get approval, that person has to get approval from the chair, prior to going beyond that, and cost wise, so there's that added protection for the county.
We need to read it? Oh, okay.
So we need to do both of them?
Just
No,
Just
it's,
the one,
it's
okay.
either or, so one of them is just the
Okay.
chief and one of them is both, the chief and the emergency manager.
Resolution 2025-03. Designating the contact person to request assistance from the South Dakota Wildland Fire Coordinator pursuit to SDCL 41-20A-11. Whereas the South Dakota Department of Public Safety Wildland Fire Division has requested that Benton County provide an update list of the designee who have authority to request assistance from the division, and whereas they may not be sufficient time to hold a commissioner meeting to adopt a resolution during a fire. And whereas Benton County wishes to designate a person with authority to request assistance under SDCL 41-20A-11. And now therefore be resolved that the Martin Fire Chief Chris O'Brien and the Benton County Emergency Manager are hereby appointed as the official joint designees for this purpose for the calendar years of 25 and 26. Be it further resolved that such designees shall have authority of the Bennett County Commission to request mutual aid assistance from the Wildland Fire Division as outlined in SDCL 41-20A-11 of up to 6 personnel and 2 vehicles at no cost to the county. And then be it further resolved that should be additional resources be needed beyond what is provided at no cost, the designee, upon approval of the commission chair, has authority of Bennett County to obligate county funds when it requested those additional services on March 5th of 2025.
That's the one, the resolution I just read is the one I would make a motion to approve.
Second motion, we have a second, all in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Did you want to vote?
If possible, but it's all right. It's not gonna take very long.
Let's move up.
Burns Road and repair one.
Okay. Burns Road and repair.
Or rebuild, yeah. So the Burns Road repair, they had just mentioned at one time there was the first mile, there's 5 miles there, the first mile had been done. And then they were gonna, plans to do the rest of the road that you guys had approved possibly or something with the last superintendent that we had, but then he started on it and didn't complete it. So they're just wondering where that was at. I just thought that would provide maybe an opportunity to look at 4 miles of road that we could build a contract for, do a simple scope of work, and maybe bid that, just that portion out possibly. James Ainsley is here. He and I just kind of reach out. We do have a lot of resources, people that are interested in the community to help out. He has a lot of background in contract writing and stuff like that, and has offered to maybe try to give some assistance if we need it. And so I just kind of wanted to mention that a little bit. I did learn just a good, clear scope of work so that's biddable. I think is important. Good contract writing. I did also learn before the meeting that there might be easement issues with that road, though. Maybe you can say something about that that I didn't know about that, but that's something in contract writing that we learned also. Just a matter of using community resources if they're available. But to that, I'll let James maybe mention something a little bit if he's willing to.
Sure. James Ainsley. I've lived here in Bennett County for about 6 years now, and upon his election, I was speaking with Commissioner Yonner and just expressed that I am a licensed civil engineer. I worked for the South Dakota DOT for 9 years in their local government office, and just expressed a willingness to volunteer my time to assist in whatever you guys might need. I just came up with a quick sample contract that it's obviously completely bogus, but at least an example of what I do. If you would find it useful, just one opinion, I'm more than willing to help you guys out.
Yeah, and I think that's all I really have on that, but just kind of maybe exploring that path forward potentially in the future. And just letting you guys know that we have resources here that are willing to help out. We thank you for being able to do that and guide us along the way a little bit. So,
Thanks, James.
Anytime.
yeah, I'll take that a little bit.
Do you have an office somewhere?
I work for the Indian Health Service, right there by the old Sods Mechanical Building.
Okay, so you work with James and.
I do.
Okay.
I couldn't use any of our equipment or anything like that, but I could volunteer some time on the weekends or after hours, and would be more than happy to do so.
Okay. How long you been there?
6 years.
Must not go back far enough when I see James, though.
I probably prefer it that way.
Okay.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that, I guess, what you guys think would be a path forward? Is that something we want to look at, or are there easement issues there? How do we find it out, and it's probably the job of maybe if we ever get a superintendent to be helping write these contracts and overseeing them, right, eventually?
That's really nice.
set date for board equalization in April.
Hey, Janice.
Jeff or Kelly?
Mr. Kelly.
So we're just wanting to set a date for the boards. And we're thinking maybe the 16th of April.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Will be during commissioner meeting.
No,
Well, the first meeting be the second will be the 16th.
oh, it would be, wouldn't it?
There's 5 Wednesdays in April.
Okay. The 16th,
We'll decide on the 16th.
10 o'clock.
Yeah, Mr. Kelly. Susan, the Board of Equalization timeframe opens a week before that. We're not bound to
On the 8th.
start on the 8th, are we?
You'd have to look at that law because I think you might be.
That would be my only question.
Yeah, you'd have to look at the paperwork that comes from the Department of Revenue and whether it says you must.
If you want to table this, then I'll go make a phone call, or Kelly can go call the Department of Revenue and find out for sure, and get back and see if you can decide this meeting.
You should have a pamphlet from the Department. You don't
We
have
do.
your pamphlet.
But it just tells you the first date and the last date.
So it's the 8th through the 29th.
So then maybe you don't have to.
You want us to call real quick, just
It wouldn't hurt,
to
yes,
clarify?
yes, please.
Okay.
We'll just come back to that on that.
animal control complaints.
Is that you, Jay?
Yeah, I guess I was hoping the sheriff would be here to just talk about that a little bit. I had that put on there. I just have had some residents wondering what the options are with what's happening there. What I've learned since, I guess, that there are some residents have had communication with the sheriff. There has been some plans put in place to continue to work on it. I know they're working on it. So I guess that's what I know, but I was hoping maybe he was here to talk about it, but he's not. So I just know I've seen some complaints, but I think they do have a plan. They're working on it. Okay, so that's all I got on that.
Whenever I get a complaint, I take pictures and I text them right to him.
Oh, sure, okay. And I know that, like the city, so the other recommendation is, so it is a city ordinance type thing, and there are complaint forms at the city. I would recommend that residents go to the city office, fill out the complaint form, then that complaint form does get filed with the sheriff, so then you can take action upon that as well. So just kind of you want to say something?
You shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't have the problem we have. That's
Yeah,
why-
it's
that's
always
why
an ongoing issue, though. I mean, it always, even when I was on council, it was just always
It
an
was
issue.
never enforced, ever. Not in my area,
Yeah,
never. The dogs are, some of them dogs are 8 years old.
even when we, deal with like the chief of police, stuff like that, city, when that law enforcement was there, it was still an issue, you know what I'm saying? It's always gonna be, we just gotta keep kind of working on it and trying to find solutions around it. There was some talk about what you do with the animal afterwards, right? Do we, as the county and city, work together to try to
It's
make a facility?
It's the city's responsibility for that bill. So if they catch a dog, they take it out to the vet, and there's storage on that critter, then the city.
I didn't know that, I guess, so that's a clarification that helps.
I think that's in the contract.
That the city's responsible for,
The
a whole day
fees.
facility, yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. So it's just a matter of being able to catch the animals at that point and then get them to the facility, right? Okay, all right. That clarifies it for me.
Then there's some critters down that way, you can put a T-bone steak in a leg trap, and they won't go in it.
Huh, really?
That's how many times they've been caught.
And then caught and released sort of a thing. Okay. Gotcha.
You have no idea how frustrating.
Dark gun.
It's,
Okay.
it's in here somewhere.
I guess maybe I'll need to, read through that at some time. I have not, so.
Okay, I'll make a copy.
Okay, sounds good. That's all I got there.
Okay. Fuel bids? You still got a fuel
It's
fund?
10 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Let's do a big deal.
What was that? It was
Green board, so can we?
hearing.
Anybody wanna talk?
What?
Anybody wanna talk?
I'd like to talk.
Well, go for it.
So, you guys are talking about increasing the budget. Started this in February, talking about increasing the budget. Last year,
Is this on the weed control?
Yeah.
Or the weed board?
I think that's where we're at, right?
Yeah.
Yep, so this is the public hearing?
Yep.
Okay. So last year, you guys passed a budget basically without looking at it. You passed a budget with the stipulations that we don't really have time to look at it. We're just gonna sign it. We'll make changes as we see fit. Me personally, I don't think that's the way a county should be run. The budget is a very precise thing. It's not made up numbers, as you stated, Blue. It's real numbers. It's not made up numbers. So the budget passed. Department heads were not brought in. Department heads were not spoken to. No plans were made for 2025. You just whipped right through it, signed it, and there wasn't even really a public hearing. There was no notice of a public hearing before you signed the budget. And here we are in February calling for an increase in the budget already. No plans. We're just kind of winging it. This whole county has been in wing mode for the last 2 years. So I have a real problem with February raising the budget already. So I'm trying to find out what this raising of the budget is for. So I mean, I'm looked all through this public packet here. I see no budget for what you guys are asking the public to increase this budget for. I see no items to be purchased in this budget. I literally see nothing in this public packet for the public to know how you're going to spend our tax dollars. So I guess maybe if you guys would explain to me and anybody else in the room what this increase of a budget is for, I would love to have further discussion if I can get some more details, I guess.
I think we talked about it at the last meeting.
And that's on me, I didn't know I needed to have this. This is my first budget hearing.
I understand that. But there's some of them that have been through this before. It's not just on you, Mary. There's a lot of information here that I'm going to request because I want to know why we're into February and already increasing the budget.
No, I think it was talked about before the beginning of the year, and it was suggested we wait until we start the new year. And I do believe it was talked about at the last meeting,
Not last
And-
meeting, 2 meetings ago.
2 meetings ago, and before the first of the year, to try to set up something to buy a side-by-side or something so we can actually go and control the weeds.
Okay, so you're going to buy a side-by-side. That's the plan.
In the minutes.
Do you have, as a taxpayer, I want to make sure that my taxes are being used efficiently. Did you get 3 bids from 3 different suppliers on side-by-sides?
We had to get 3 bids over 25,000.
Okay, so you only went through one supplier? You've not
Actually,
price shopped?
well, we price shop 2 dealers. Price Honda and Bauer.
So is there a warranty on the machine that you're looking at?
Yes.
And I asked who's gonna be driving the machine,
Our weed supervisor,
which would be,
Stuart Buckles.
so why is he not coming to the meetings and asking for this machine on his own? And did he put in that request last year during the bidding process?
Well, two
When the
board,
budget was, or, budgeting process, I messed up, I said
two
bidding.
board members are sitting right here of the weed board asking for it.
And Stuart has another job.
Exactly.
And Troy was here
Last
at the
meeting.
last meeting.
So is this gonna change the mill levy of the county? I mean, what, is this money just sitting around? What is it, 27,000? It's not just sitting around? So where's that money gonna come from then?
No, I said second. I don't think it's gonna change the mill levy.
We can't change them.
Is it gonna put this county, is it gonna take away from something else that the budget has already budgeted for?
No.
So how many budget supplement hearings are you planning on having this year? Just out of curiosity. Are we gonna do this every time we feel the need to buy
Is this
something?
related to the weed board?
It is.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not. You got anything else?
I have as much time as I want to discuss this until I fully understand it. That would be Law 721-9. I can sit here all day and ask questions. So I'm going to ask this question. Have any of you read Law 721-22? This is how you supplement the budget. Has anybody in this room read that law? I know Bob's read it. 721-22. This is the law pertaining to how to supplement a budget. So, it is supposed to state the purpose of the reason for this increase, the object and the items that the approved amount is supposed to be for, and by law, you're supposed to give us 10 days notice, public notice.
And then it was in the newspaper.
Yeah, I do have that newspaper right here that was
And-
printed on February 26th, 7 days ago.
And Al told me that if I put this, I didn't even have to put it in the paper. He
It was
said,
on the
I mean, you
public
could,
board.
yeah, he said, put it on the bulletin board 10 days prior. I wouldn't have to advertise, but I had already advertised. So
Is the
that's what,
public
that's what
bulletin
Al
board
told me.
able to be displayed even after hours? Because our
Jack,
display is the window. This did not follow the law.
Sarah? Do we do everything right?
I can't say yes or no, but if we put it on, if notice was in the paper and it's been displayed on the public bulletin board, I would say that notice has been provided.
Thank you.
You guys have went over budget 2 years in a row, and now in February, you're supplementing the budget already. If you can't plan ahead of what's coming and see these expenditures, you've known for a long time that you wanted this side by side. Why didn't you take the time and put it in the budget? You tell me that you didn't have time for the budget. I'm sorry, but that's unacceptable to me.
You finish?
I know you're gonna do what you're gonna do because you don't believe in following the law, so I guess I'm done, but I've voiced my opinion.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Go for it.
Do we have a itemized list as to what?
Does Troy have that, Julian?
I have no idea. I mean, he had all the paperwork with him when he was here last time.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a copy of
Is
Sarah, do we have to have an itemized for that,
Item is listed what?
for why we're supplementing the budget?
Are you gonna have to? You're asking for them to check them out.
I don't know if it would hurt much to push this to the next meeting, you know what I'm saying, and then get that list out and just as much transparency as possible. Probably wouldn't be bad.
I'll make, I guess we all just postpone.
So do I need to just advertise again?
Does she need to I don't think you need to advertise in the paper,
Just a bullet.
that, and then should we put that in the window?
It's gonna be in the minutes,
Yeah.
And then
and that's the way we usually supplement budgets, was through the minutes.
And then we wanna do this the next meeting?
I think so.
I mean, personally, I just wouldn't mind seeing, you know what I'm saying, what the
We'll get
proposed.
We'll get that from Sarah.
School stop posting for onward learning school.
And they were just wondering if we couldn't put some kind of a school zone sign right there where they turn, just, I think it's to the east of Pride Green.
I think that's
Just
the
to let-
state.
State DOT is gonna do that.
State.
That has to be approved through the state to put any signs up in there
I think
right away.
And that was just, that was fine.
But it would probably help if we would,
Probably just have to ask, I would imagine.
And who would you?
the other,
Cody Allen.
Yeah.
or Cody Allen. Are they wanting to provide the sign and just put it up, or they wanting us to provide the sign, or what?
It was just,
I think the DOT will just do
I
that.
think, yeah, the state would probably.
It's just apparently there's a lot of people that did not know there was a school out there.
Okay.
And in the morning and then at night, there's a lot of traffic, and there have been a couple of instances that, thank God, were not bad, but they could have been, because people don't realize there's a school zone there,
That's a school zone, okay.
or that there's a school there.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess the recommendation would be that they contact the state about getting the signage up in there right away and get approval for that.
Can you help with that, Mary?
On the new business.
okay, for all the new business, on the Forest River, you guys said you wanted to take that out of the contingency fund. Could I get a motion for you to transfer from the contingency fund to the courthouse maintenance fund? And then also, on the donation that we were gonna do for, the freshman impact, I need a motion saying to come from the contingency fund to either the police department, the 211, or Commissioners 111. And that was at the last meeting.
Put that on the agenda.
Al said I could bring it up during a new business since you guys approved it last meeting, but we just didn't have an exact approval of where you wanted to put it to. If that makes
Where does
sense.
it come out of?
Well, out of the contingency was what,
I mean, what line item in the budget? What budget
that it would go to?
that it comes out of?
Your commissioner's contingency budget is what you said.
Right, but it has to go into another
Into,
budget.
so the donation would be, he thought either the 111 Commissioner Fund or the 211 Sheriff Fund. It would go into those to
It was
go
a
out as a
commissioner's
donation.
donation, so I guess I put it,
And then the courthouse one, it would be under, I would say courthouse maintenance for the floor scrub machine.
should be a line item for it.
Yeah, but we're gonna go around courthouse.
That's why you're putting contingency in there.
Right.
So that,
So I'll just want to defer.
Commissioner contingency's already been budgeted, so we're not,
Yeah.
we're moving it to a different
Two
fund.
different funds, yes. But I wanted, the motion to move it from this one to that one.
Part of the last motion was to take it from that fund, we just didn't say what, well, and what to be
Into
used for, but we got to say what fund to put it into to be then taken from.
And the donation was for $500. And I think that quote should still be in your book from the last meeting on what the floor scrubber was. The dollar amount.
Approve the dollar amount, so we just gotta make, the motion just has to include, I guess, that's where it's going to be then taken out.
Might took that out.
It'll be in the minutes too, so.
Oh, the last meeting, was that 2 meetings ago?
One meeting.
I make a motion to take the money from the Commissioner Contingency Fund and move it to the courthouse equipment maintenance fund. I don't have that number, but I'm sure
425.
425. And that would be my motion on that one, I guess.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second, all in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye.
And
Any opposed? Motion carried.
And then I would make a motion that we take the $500 from the Commissioner Contingency Fund and move it to
The 111.
the 111 fund to be used for freshman impact supplies.
It was kind of just basically an overall, it covers insurance, it covers food, it covers,
There's already,
yeah.
$500 in the commissioner's other expenses. So there's already $500 in there.
So you
Wait,
don't want
and use the contingency
at another
if the
time.
budget's gonna go over.
Okay, so just go ahead and take it out of that one.
That would be my suggestion. I don't know that we need a contingency transfer now, because
Okay. Yeah, that's up to you guys.
it's $500 here.
Commissioner other in the 111 fund.
Yes. And there could be possibly enough in this professional fees too. We won't know until, it's early in the year.
What was our motion the last time on that to take it from, we had a motion
Just take
already
it from the
to take it from there,
contingency,
so
yeah.
I guess I'll still hold that motion on the floor, or if I can, to move it, that's what we did, and just put it to the 111. You can deny it or whatever.
So change it to the 111
We got,
and no
there's a motion on the floor, so we'll see if we get the second.
You have, he has a motion to transfer from the contingency fund
Into the
budget.
111.
Yeah.
To cover that.
We have a second.
Do we want to do that? I want to do it just an other.
But either way, I just, whatever you guys think, it don't matter either way, actually. Nice.
Okay, just let that.
Motion dies for lack of second. Okay.
I guess I'll make a motion that we take it out of the commissioner's other budget.
429. Other expenses.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Mary, thanks for getting this to us.
Anyone old or new business?
One of them on there, we kind of talked about the official newspaper. There was originally a motion to have them both as the official newspaper. There was just some talk about if we could do that. I think through some research, we're good to just leave it as it was originally. So I think that just kind of puts that to rest. There was never a motion to change it, right? Just talk about it. So now it's just, so they're both the official newspaper.
Kelly, did you find out?
Yes, I talked to the state. And any time within that time frame, the 8th through the 29th, on a regular date you have set for a meeting, you can set that as long as you have a quorum and you do your meeting and you adjourn, and then you can open back up into.
We can just leave it on the 16th then.
10 a.m. Right?
What?
10 o'clock?
If you're gonna be done with your meeting by 10 o'clock.
No, we just adjourn and can go back again.
Yeah, 10 o'clock.
Go into executive session.
I saw some new and old business. I was just curious, Whipple's are putting some culverts in out at Black Pipe. I don't think they're quite done yet. Is there any way that you guys can see that there's gravel put over them bottoms? That they're slick when it rains. It's all fresh dirt. And if you don't, you're just money behind if you don't put gravel over them two projects. They cleared out the trees really nice. It looks good. Just would I like to ask you guys if you guys could get some gravel put over them two spots when they're done. Thanks.
Yes, thanks.
Go into executive session. Go into executive session on personnel.
1-2-5-2-1. Is that your motion?
Yeah.
Also,
Commissioners only. Have a motion, do we have a second? Second. All in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We're now in 10:21. We're back in at 10:36. No action at this time is going to be required. Fuel bid.
So yeah, I was just curious, like when we get fuel, are we required to get fuel bids depending on the amount? Or what is the process there, I guess? Do we know? Usually the highway superintendent would say, hey, we're out of fuel, we need to get some fuel brought in, a semi, do they then get bids for that?
Mary, you need to check it out, but I do think on petroleum, we don't have to bid, we take 3 quotes.
But you have to get 3 quotes before you make an order.
So
Yes, and the quotes have to be published in the minutes.
Unless you're going off state bid.
Right. I believe that we did the past due state bid.
We haven't done that even back my last year of doing the highway books, because the company we used to do with state bids was no longer doing it. So then we went to the 3 quote process, and you have to put the name, the company, the date, and then you take the low bid, and all of that needs to be submitted with the invoice at the time of payment to make sure that you've got your 3 quotes.
So just moving forward, just gotta make sure that we have 3 quotes on
But
purchase.
they're not doing state bid.
And that's what we've been doing.
Okay, that's what we've been doing. Okay, it's good to know. Ella mentioned something, I guess, about that snow blower, about state bid, and that snow blower was on state bid, right? So we were able to buy that, but then he said there was some additional, we should still get bids or quotes maybe. I thought that's what he said. I could be wrong. But
That's my emergency.
Yeah, that was an emergency deal.
and that's why they do that state bid
Remember that,
thing.
Judd?
It was an emergency deal where it's in the deal where you don't have to get bids if it's an emergency.
Did you write a note out, was it when you?
But I think we did get bids.
Okay.
Is Bo still here?
I'd be a bit shocked.
I just, for some reason, that sticks in my mind that that was something he had mentioned, and I just wanted to be sure that, you know, I guess, yeah. I mean, it makes sense, you could still get a couple of bids on it, probably.
I like the idea.
There was none available anywhere, and it was an emergency, and it was like the last one that was left, so.
I think we got both on fuel, we got both on a PTO driven one too. Okay. We couldn't get a quote on the third one, that's why we put it down.
Gotcha, okay, that's all I
You
got.
have to just try to get the quotes. If you can't get the quotes, you just need to document.
Because there's a deadline when the quote's gotta be turned in, and, yeah, okay, fair enough. That's all I got on that. Thanks.
Chair and Commissioner. I want to step down as the chair, should be a commissioner, I'm gonna let him take over as of right now. Now you're the chair.
Sarah, how do we do that?
I am actually not sure. I would have to look and see, what the process is.
So I talked to Christy Jacobs, South Dakota's commissioner, or where she is. And so all she said is Dave just got to step down, I stepped up, and then we re-elect vice chair. So that's all she said we had to do.
In that next meeting, then you elect the vice chair, we have to do it right away.
She didn't say that part.
I think we're okay with next meeting, aren't we, Sarah?
Like the vice
Yeah,
chair.
that's the intent, and then it gives us information for,
Yeah.
until next meeting. Always good to, next meeting. So we'll get that on the next agenda, just, re-elect the vice spot, and then move to the chair. Go for it.
After this meeting, stepping down. Due to, I don't know what you call it, just a lot of stuff going on.
Personally. Do we need a resignation letter? Or just accept your resignation next meeting?
I do it now, because it's on here.
Oh, part of chair and commissioner? Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion to accept Bill's resignation.
Second. Oh, that's on the chair.
You can,
Roll call, Susan? Jay?
Aye.
Alright, go aye.
Aye.
Dave, aye. Motion
thank
passed.
you, thank you
Thanks, Bill.
for what you've done.
Alright, moving on.
Well, before you move on, so, it's the commissioner's then, responsibility to appoint, somebody to fill, Bill's term. It's completely up to you how you wanna do it. I know in the past, you put it out to the public to see if there's any interest, and then they maybe submit a letter to the commission, a letter of interest, and then you guys can decide. If there is a vote and it's a tie vote, then it would be the auditor would then decide the vote.
So I would make a motion that we put that out to the public and ask for, what do we call it, not really an application, but a letter of
A letter of
interest
interest.
to fill the seat, to be then decided at the next meeting, regularly scheduled. That'd be my motion.
Got a motion, got a second?
Second.
Dave seconds, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
So will
opposed?
I put that in the paper then?
Please. Yep. Okay, you good on that, Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get those spots. I get those spots.
Highway Department. Highway Superintendent Secretary. You have those applications, Mary?
They're still not listening, to grab it.
Go over the personnel for that, for the application.
maybe have a little discussion before if possible.
Okay.
I got a couple of questions, I guess.
I'll be right for Mary.
Let's see if there's any feedback. So I guess the discussion I would have is in moving forward with the possibility of the highway superintendent, I was just looking over the budget. What budget item do we have to fund the highway superintendent and secretary? I guess is that under the 201?
It's under salaries, isn't it?
Salaries on budget.
What page are you on?
So I am right now on page 41. Maybe Jolene can help us with this when we do it. I'm on the 201 fund. The 11 of county road and bridge salaries. Page 41.
How do we do that?
So I'm looking at the where it says salaries and then all of the employment costs, expenses to go with it, but the full beginning budget for that line item is $40,850. Is that all we have for wages for all of county road employees? Because we've already used 7,000 out of it. Is that how we're paying the staff that we currently have? Out of that?
Yeah.
So I guess the big red flag is there, we have no budget for it. Is that accurate, I guess?
Exactly. Could we pull out another fund of gravel? We're not gonna push on gravel this year. Yeah.
You can do whatever you want with the budget.
I mean, it's the bottom line
It's the
budget
bottom line
that
that you're looking
matters.
That's all that matters.
So we would just have to find it from another spot in the 201 that we would maybe,
Well, we're not gonna purchase no gravels.
I mean, yes,
How much
there's
you have in
150 there
150 in gravel?
that we have on the budget.
Oh,
But
gotcha.
we shouldn't need it
Okay,
this year with what they bought last year.
okay,
It's the bottom line dollars that matters.
okay. That helps.
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you.
You
Okay,
good?
yep,
on
good,
that?
yep, thanks.
Yeah, motion to go to executive session for personnel. Highway superintendent, secretary.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session on personnel,
You want,
SDCL 1-25-2, parenthesis 1.
you want us just first? Or bring that personnel?
No, I think us first and Sarah, and then we'll go from there.
Got a motion, got a second?
I'll second.
Jay seconds, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We're in executive session at 10:50. Required. I need a motion to go back in executive session for legal. 1-25-2, parentheses 3. That's you, Sarah.
Yeah.
That's Commissioner
And,
Sarah.
and Mary.
I'm Mary. So I need a motion on that.
I'll make that motion.
Dave motions,
Second.
Jay seconds, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, motion passed. We're back in executive session at 12:05.
I have a question for the
Did you leave your credit card at the pizza shop?
I did.
Thank you.
At least not for me though.
Go on your tab.
You didn't save us any?
Where's our slice at?
Yeah.
Ready? All right, we're back out at 1:09. No action taken.
Make a motion to pay the Blue Cross Blue Shield bill. We got that. Roll around, is that correct?
It was end of the month discussion.
Made motions, second.
Second.
2 seconds. All motions, vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Jay second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.